Please come to order so we can call our meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, may I have roll call, please?
Soren Peterson.
Here.
Chuck Schultz.
Here.
Mike Cunningham.
Here.
Al Poole.
Here.
Jennifer Eden and David Walker are absent, and Marcy Husted's present.
At this time, I'd like to suspend our regular board meeting minutes so we can conduct a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to review the proposed Lake Shannon Road Improvement Special Assessment District and to hear objections to the proposed project. I'm going to take comment from our residents. When you make your comment, please stand, state your name and address for the record so we can clearly note it. If those of you are looking for seats, we have some seats up here in the front too. So, okay, so we'll go ahead and start. It looks like we have a lot of people, so why don't we just start at the left side of the room and go row by row and give everybody the opportunity to speak. Sir, did you have something you wanted to say?
My name is Andy Kopek. I live in the neighborhood. I recognize it's expensive, but I think it's worthwhile as one of my big investments. So I'm definitely for it.
I'm Kelly Kopek, and I live on Ornod Drive as well. And we were walking home the other day from a walk, and I stepped into a hole that was bigger than my whole foot. And as I did that, I looked down and I noticed that cars are starting to swerve around, and the edges of the roads are starting to crumble. So my concern is really the safety of all of our residents and the people. So I can see the distracted driving happening as they're swerving around the hole. And so my clear the road so that everybody in the community is safe.
Okay. Next two people in the front row are from the Livingston County Road Commission. We have Jody and Mike here, so if anybody has any specific questions, we'll be able to answer them. Another person also, we have Jim Kiefer. He's bond counsel attorney, so he'll be able to answer any of those questions that come up. So we'll go ahead. Please, do you have any comments? Yep.
Joe Pellet. I'm for this project. But and if you have any questions that you don't want to address to Mike or the township board, please call me tonight or email me or call.
Thanks, Joe. Okay.
John Weiss, 7543 Parkwood Court. I'm for it.
Thank you. And we'll move right behind John here.
Ron Johnson, 8100 Parkwood Drive. I travel with roads. I've really more hit a question as far as what the process as far as are we taking this down? What is the action?
Would you like to answer that, Mike? What the plan is?
This, I am white. We're going to mill it out. Move it, place it at the existing elevation, maybe a scope. And that's the focus of it. Pavement rehabilitation, existing alignment. If we do run into an area where we have to do small areas of it, really localize. Open the project. Really complicated on this project. In other words, locked already in terms of what the original plan. We have pretty good control of the size and scope of the project. Part of our annual program, which we asphalt begins, got a price already from a contractor prepared to be in conformance with the statute. So we're ready to go. We're actually ready to put it on.
Did you have a question about the process?
Yeah, you said you're taking it down a level, but what about
No dirt roads on the assessment.
Yeah, we're only, there are some private roads that will be owned separately by the town. But there are no gravel roads being created.
And they aren't part of the assessment either. Okay, did you have anything else, sir? Okay, gentleman in the blue.
And Mike, that's not 100% accurate. Some of the roads, like Cliffwood Court and Trail, I think it is, they are part of the assessment because they Ledgewood Drive to access their properties. Some of their properties do have frontage on Ledgewood Drive, which is being paid.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Randy Andrain. I live at 7050 Lake Shannon. I like to bicycle, so slightly different perspective I just wanted to share. So I bicycle around the lake. It's a 6-mile loop. Work out as you go around. You also, I think, see the road a little bit better because you're going 10 miles an hour instead of 30 miles an hour. Going every crack, pothole because you're biking. I've been doing this for years, and I just want to give my testimony that the roads are getting worse fast. Not a steady decline that we're seeing. They're breaking up and deteriorating sort of exponentially. I feel that they need to be replaced, and it's kind of an urgent need that they be replaced.
Okay, thank you. We have 2 seats up front if you guys would like to come have a seat. Sir?
Mark Kennedy, 8468 Starwood. I walk the lake and I see the same.
Dave Sheffield, 8449 Starwood, and I feel that the roads need replacing badly, and I agree with Randy. Real rapid pace now.
Dave?
Lance, 8028.
Kurt Heyer, 8295 Ledgewood Court. We live on a private road, gravel road, so it's not a direct benefit to the paving, but we support it. Just stated here, but we do have a concern. We get a lot of runoff down Ledgewood Court because of the way the road is pitched. And it comes right down the gravel road. It creates gullies, and then it comes right down into my driveway. So as they make the planning to move forward, I'd like them to look at the pitching and how it, impacts the road. We have to have it graded and stuff quite often just because of the.
You got that address, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that you, Mike, or is that the drain?
Oh, that'd be us.
Okay. I'll follow up on that too.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Moving over to the right. Sir, do you have something?
Bill Day, 7356 Ledgewood. I still don't have a clear understanding as to why. And replacement hours. I don't know what what the situation. I have never explained this to what.
Yeah.
Also, one other thing.
Sure.
there are areas that need curb. Travel off the driveway, and take it right down Circle. That needs to be done.
Okay, let's move over to the rectangular table. We'll start with the lady here.
Piper, 7540 Ordnance Drive. I'm in agreement that the road needs to be repaved. I think not only it's our road, it's our sidewalk, it's our bike path, so.
Okay. Mike?
Hey, Mike, 507, 7249 Surfwood Drive. Yeah, I am also in agreement that the roads need to be repaved. I want the people that went out and helped petition and stuff. I have to pay both the Deerfield and the Tyrone side, so I get double the enjoyment of the roads. So I do want to say this, so as I did look this up, because I know there's a small group that does not want to have it repaved and stuff like that. But I wanted to go over this, and I wanted to Google, does having a bad road make the road, does cars go slower on a bad road? So I want to let you know that if you Google things like that, you'll come up with this article. It says, if an accident occurs because of hazardous road condition, the government agency responsible for maintaining the road may be liable. What I want to do is point this out, and you guys can have this one if you want. The simple fact is as roads deteriorate, it's the job of the township and the government to say, yes, it's time that we step up and fix the road because that is to the benefit of the individuals. Safety. Yes, I am for it, and so is my wife.
Okay.
Both in Tyrone and Deerfield.
Thank you, Mike.
Hi. Brian Hendricks, 7536 Ledgewood. I would agree that the roads are probably project, but there is drive faster. Project, but there are a lot.
Thank you.
Greg Carnes, Lake Shannon Court. The lifespan of asphalt is about 20, 25, maybe 30 years. Fine. It's time.
Thank you. Coming over to the right, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 second, sir.
Steve Oshaw, 7529 Ledgewood. Why we have private roads on this. A lot of questions on that because the private roads arguably don't have a benefit and no problem. Like Sandwood, Starwood, that come off of Linwood. All the private roads petition. So that's the petition process. Ask for the petitions. There was
They're available. I wasn't here that day, so she wasn't able to get to them, but I do have them.
got the petition.
Yeah, but I have all the petitions, and you're welcome to request a copy of them.
So first would be if you could take the question why the private roads are on this increase for this road project.
Well, private roads, you can circulate a petition for private roads to have a special assessment done on them.
But the roads are not being done in this project.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, are we talking Sandwood and Starwood?
the same.
Cliffwood is not being done now. Edgewood Trail, yeah, no.
Ledgewood Court. So it hasn't been very clear. What
That's been clear.
It's not been clear. It's on the, if you look at the list of roads on that.
No, Sandwood and Starwood were inadvertently left off of that description. However, letters were mailed out to all of the residents on those two roads, but we have since made that correction, so.
Scope of the project just wasn't.
Correct. Yeah, it just omitted those two roads.
But the tax ID numbers were.
Mhm. Yes, and they got their letters.
Next is the safety. Last year, I had in front of my house. Average speeds on. A lot of kids on. If you look at the roads. All the people that want it all agree we would love to have. Last Monday I did 30 miles. Almost hit 3 times. All of them were inside the because of speed. We've had a rollover accident. We've had a hospital. The accidents this year. One rollover accident. Death is going to happen. Talk about safety. I'm not worried about twisting the ankle or.
Are the roads posted at 25 miles an hour out there? Okay.
So, if we go forward with this, speed humps everywhere. Specific locations. Not just because we want brand new roads. Cost extra money.
Thank you. The back row, I can't see who's in between. Did you? Okay. And then we have Marcia. Did you have something?
Marcia Dixon, I'm listening, but I have to, I'm on or not. I'll just go like.
Can I ask a question? Is there any specific time of the day, or is it just all times of the day?
It's all day.
Okay.
And I love you, Mike, but there's several studies done by road commissions out there. Cited one in the letter. I can get you. Put out speed monitoring systems and upon approval on.
You had that study done, who did that?
By London.
Oh, all right, because maybe, because they will do the same thing. They'll actually put a car out there, they've had this done before.
Yeah, I
They
don't know
will
if you were
issue
listening
tickets.
earlier. I had Livingston County.
That can be a request can be made to have them ticketing come out on a regular basis. The last time they did that, I think they generated quite a bit of revenue to the county.
We've done that. The response I got was there's only a couple guys. There was a big traffic.
I'd like to just take a quick second to say for Steve and everybody else, I don't think anybody that wants roads in place wants them here so we can drive faster. I don't think anybody that wants roads in place wants them to possibly cause a child to be injured, okay? Safe road conditions make it safer for being able to stop, start and everything. But I think these are two unrelated things. I know you think they're directly related, but if that road was gravel, I'm gonna tell you what, if the road was gravel and someone was coming, they might not be able to stop time for my child or you. I want to say, I understand your concerns, but I think what we have to do is we have to catch people with the police. Scott Hammond, as a police officer, has moved to Lake Shannon, and people have sped by his house, and he is infuriated by it. And I have a feeling that as Scott gets going, he will probably have more of an influence with the state police to make sure that something does happen. So I just want to tell you, I don't think anyone in the room wants better roads so that they will drive faster or to injure a child. I just want to let you know that. I don't think
Well,
No, that's not.
we understand. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're making your comments, please direct them to the township board. That's what the purpose of this public hearing is. If you guys would like to have a conversation outside of this public hearing, by all means, feel free to do so. As long as you're on township grounds, please keep it civil. Okay.
Where's the boundary of the township?
The other side of US 23. Sir.
My name is Kyle Christensen, 42-year resident. Number one question, is there a timeline? Start and stop.
Well, what we have to do is go through approvals, secure bonds. I mean, how long does all that start? Jim, could you give us a idea of when we would expect to be able to start construction on that?
Sure. So we would have this public hearing. There's another public hearing that would have to take place. We then have to sell bonds late June, early July, close on those by mid-July so the road commission could start work by late July. And then once you start work, how long is the process?
We're figuring 6 to 8 weeks.
So it's,
If summer is to seasons as spring is to winter, I don't know what it'll be, Jim.
so starting late July and a 6 to 8 week construction.
Another question. Been around a lot of data. Or was 55 to 45. Sampling. Yeah. Was it 1,000? Something doesn't seem right. This is not a question for you, this is for the Lake Shannon board.
No.
It's been nagging at my back of my head for quite a while.
We contacted everyone multiple times in Tyrone Townships. 191 properties.
291, or 292, yeah.
And you gotta remember, every single property starts as a no. You have to get an actual. Voting for someone for office, this is by road frontage also.
I never signed a petition.
You did not, well, you did not, you are a no vote.
Automatically.
Automatically, you are a no vote, that's right. That petition is not signed for any reason. Sign them, whatever, that is a no vote.
Probably sleep.
The truth comes out.
Okay.
So just to comment on that, Lyle, I think Lyle's looking for some numbers, right? Yeah. Out of 45,000, 30. And the remainder would know.
Well, if you take out those private roads, you take out that foot. Which point is it? But
I'm just saying.
Jim Merrill, 8025 Parkwood, and the original roads, when they were put in, they did it really well. You gotta ask yourself, why did they fail? Fail is because the side, they won't weed the water off the side. Now, water puddles, and you get the freeze. And all around your drain easements, that's where you got your problem. I'm all for the new roads. A lot of repair, and water would weep off of the roads into the ditches. Have this new road, it would be foolish to not put in some kind of a shoulder maintenance. Have a contractor or the county. When you get out in the heavy rains, all you gotta do is drive around, and it's not rocket science. I live on a drain easement, so I out there with a shovel and we did it. Instead of coming down. Why our roads failed, if that was taken care of, these roads we got now. Every time we have a traction on the road, it's
Thank you.
after that. Birchfield West.
Back there by the map?
I'm Brett Henry, 7650.
Okay, and then once you've spoken, please allow everybody in the room to speak, and then if you have something to add afterwards, then we'll go to there. Sir that just came in, did you have something to say before I move to the other side of the room? Yeah, gentleman, just sat down. Okay, so I have that gentleman back there with the black jacket. Go ahead.
Paul Sarr at 8031 or not. Circle at the end of the dead end road.
What road are you on?
Or not.
Or Knob? I don't know if that.
couple of roads like that.
Gonna put a turn.
Yeah,
There's not much room.
I don't think that the original plan has something like that, does it? No, it doesn't, so. Okay, we'll come back up here to the front, sir. Thank you for waiting. Did you have something to say? Oh, I'm sorry, one more.
I'm Julie Bell, I live at 76417 Road, and a comment on that is, I've been sitting here listening to all the people that are for it, and you're absolutely right. They're all off-roads, they're not on Ledgewood or Dean or Surfwood. You know, we live at the end of Dean. We're the only house that turns right. You want to talk about dead ends? You know how many people fly down Dean Road and forget to turn on to McGuire? And they're driving over our street, our yard. They've knocked our pontoon boat off of our things twice in the winter because they drive right through our yard. So, you know, I just don't understand. So it's the main roads, and so, you know, we're not for it. I'm sorry, but we're not for it.
Okay.
Because, number one, half the time we don't even get our snow shoveled because they forget to come down to the only house down Dean. So, you know, I don't want to partake in that when I don't get benefits half the time either.
Okay. Thank you. Sir?
Got right, 8005 Knob Drive, favor of the road, but I would like to see them take care of the engineering snafu of the original design. Curve going down Ledgewood as you approach Fawcett Road. Banking of the road is hit the wrong way. And if they're going to be taking it down to the dirt, then why can't they just plow away a little more dirt on the inside of that curve so that at least it's a neutral curve. Right now it forces you off the road. And I've been here, 45 years? 42 years. And I've probably seen at least 30 cars off the road during that period of time.
Okay. Thank you.
That is a problem. Yeah. Also turning from Fawcett onto Linwood too.
Up here in the front row, ma'am, did you, sir? Okay, behind him.
My name is Ken Gannapini, 7279 Ledgewood Hills Trail. I'm 100% in favor of the roads. I am adamantly opposed to the methodology of financing. I've been in communication through Marcel. I own 3 lots, 1 home. I've been there 31 years. I've paid Lake Shannon fees for 31 years, totaling over $35,000. Plus taxes. It's my contention that those of us, and I've been in communication with a few other members who own multiple lots, contribute to the preservation of the roads. If all 3 of my lots had houses and 2 to 4 vehicles on them, the roads would be worse. I have 1 house, 3 lots. I'm preserving the roads. The current assessment is the same amount for every lot, built or unbuilt. And that is not fair. I've been in communication through Marcy with the attorney, Mr. Kiefer. There are multiple ways of doing it, including combination methods that you mentioned in your letter. The front foot basis, an acreage basis, an occupied parcel basis, or a formula that uses a portion of all. Excuse me. I think it really needs to be reassessed as to what is a fair method of doing this. And to live there till I die, and those lots will not be developed as long as I live there. And for me to be assessed 3 assessments, and I've only had 2 vehicles, both my kids are gone, it's grossly unfair. And I really think I would like to know what the appeal is if this methodology of financing continues. And I know there's other multiple lot owners who feel the same way.
What is the expected cost per lot, and how are they assessing that? If I have a lot that stretches, let's say 150 feet, and there's 2 houses across from me that are 75 feet, we're all charged the same amount by what I say, but I haven't even seen anything in writing that says how much it's going to cost per lot. Has there been anything sent?
Yeah, during the,
Multiple times. Did you see a petition?
I saw somebody come around and say, do you want a road?
Well, it was also mailed out in an association letter, and on the hotline, and
Hotlines don't come. Sorry, I have not heard a price. Could somebody tell me a price?
Do you have the next
yeah, it's
one?
gonna be between 4,500 and 5,500 over 10 years. So 450
And
to
every lot is equal?
That's right.
It's unfair.
One follow-up thing, if I might. Currently, sewer when they're put in, will be assessed per lot, yet, or, excuse me, per home, per utilized service. And yet, when someone builds a house and accesses the sewer, they are then assessed at that time. How is this any different? How is this any different? And why are you using the methodology of saying the same price for every lot built or not?
Do you want to?
I can respond to it. I'm not sure you'll like the answer. So, so two things. One is the township board has received the petitions. The petitions signed by the residents specifically say that the cost would be assessed on a per lot basis. So the township board has received that. That's what they're reviewing at this point.
We're
and then
going back and forth because
so
I've been told
let me just
decision, not theirs.
well, let me finish, please. The township board has received the petitions, they've reviewed those, they have to decide whether to act on those petitions or not. If the proposal is to have a different type of assessment, which the petitions could have, the petitions, if they wanted to, could have said, let's assess on a front foot basis. That becomes very messy because no one knows exactly what it is, they have to figure out their front foot and divide it by that. Petitioners could also come in and suggest an acreage basis, and that's also allowed in the applicable statute. In this case, the petitioners decided to petition for a project and ask people to sign up on a per lot basis. So that's what's been presented to the township board.
Who made that decision?
And they have to react to that. To your second question with respect to why you don't do this like a sewer project, with a sewer project, you can charge someone once they build. You can have a connection fee. And you say basically that once someone builds, they then have to pay a connection fee, which would have been equal to what someone paid originally. There's not a similar mechanism in connection with building on a vacant lot, so that if you decide not to assess vacant lots, and a year from now, someone builds on a vacant lot, there's no provision under Act 188 to go back and assess someone after the start of the project, like you would impose a sewer connection fee. You can't charge a road connection fee at that point. So that doesn't work. It's not the same as with a sewer project. So.
What is the appeal? Do I appeal to the Lake Shannon board since that's the way the petition was drawn up? Because I was told by members that it's a county rule, not a Lake Shannon decision. You're saying that's not the case.
Well, there's no county involvement here other than contracting with the County Road Commission, so I don't know what the county reference is.
Township.
Township.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm using the wrong phrase.
Okay.
Township.
So the township board's looking at the petitions that have been presented to them. If you want to go out and convince people that it's not a fair way of assessing and ask people to withdraw their names from the petition, I mean, that's something you could do. There's an option for that. If you want to circulate a competing petition with a different formula, you're entitled to do that. If you get over 50% of people signed up on that to the township board, I'm sure the township would consider that. And if at the end of the day you feel like your assessment is unfair, once the special assessment rule is confirmed later in the spring, you have the right to appeal that to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. So those are some options.
Okay, gentlemen, right here.
Rob Thompson, I lived at 8140 Driftwood Drive. Fenton, by the way. Jesse. Right away. I support the project 100%. I also have lived there for 42 years. I drove through the gravel, drove through the dust, very well aware of the conditions that we had prior to these roads being paved. And they were excellent in the beginning. I'm not as fortunate as Ken. I only have a lot and a half. So I'm only halfway there.
Not too fortunate.
And I understand, based upon the petition as it read, that it would be based on, I would be paying 1.5 times on that. But my tax roll is one tax number. I don't have two tax numbers. I have one.
That parcel combined?
Yep, they've been combined.
So that's just one assessment?
Yep, yep, that's how it comes through. But yet, as Lake Shannon, I get to pay 1.5 dues to Association.
That's between you, that's not between the township.
Making contributions out in the parking lot. That's it. I just wanted to get my 2 cents in.
Requesting to pay another half.
I'm gonna
nice of
get
you.
you.
Sir.
I'm Alfred Chu from 8146 Driftwood Drive. Our section of the road is not bad, it's in very decent condition. But hearing all the concerns of everybody in the area, I know that it has to be. So as long as the township and the road commission do the due diligence and get fair bids and manage the program well, I will support it.
Yes.
Tim Pack, we're on Ornob Court, and both my wife Kathy and I, we do support the project. One thing we hope to learn, maybe, I don't know if it's now in the process or down the road, and Mike touched on it, minor changes are being made to address some of the drainage concerns. I've met with your office a number of times over the years.
For a while, we were living in your yard, I thought.
For a little while. We have a drainage easement there, and not expecting it to be fixed, but we're hoping nothing's done.
Well, that person is going to be on vacation this year, so you're lucky. Yeah, we'll look at it.
I'm Steve Fedak, relatively new to the lake here in 7315 Surfwood. I have a couple concerns. One is runoff on Surfwood going into the cove. I'm hoping that that's somehow going to be addressed. Secondly, going to the future, who's going to maintain the road as we go forward?
We're going to maintain it. So once again, we'll get 10 extra years on a 20-year design. You know, issues like some of these drainage issues that people, they're really complicated. Right? I don't know if you remember Rick Little, he used to be on our staff. Make some help. So it's tough, the original grading, the lot boundaries were never always conducive. What I'm saying is, if your expectation that the project as we are scoping has all these issues, this is the issue that I was rather passionate on in 1986. All curb and gutter. If we want to revisit these issues, we're perfectly able to do it. But this probably isn't going to be the adding maybe value, but also adding cost.
You're maintaining for the future, maintaining the road?
Yeah, we're putting it in, a little bit higher, get above that shoulder line, a little bit more asphalt. Sure, drainage matters in the life cycle of a road. Roads are worn out. And you've moved out, you've had new house. All that's happened on that. So this is the life cycle. So we planned for 20, 2007, 2000. Small thickness. That's the cycle we're on.
What else we do for the new residents? Those are the residents responsible.
The residents are probably.
Check and share? Oh, go ahead.
Greg Whitten, 7496 Parkwood Drive. And I'm
Stand up, stand up.
7496 Parkwood Drive. I'm in favor of this project.
Thank you.
Sean Spinweber, 8060 Driftwood Drive. I do agree also that we're surpassing the life expectancy of these roads. I also feel that right now we're at a point where we can probably afford to do this. And past this time, we're going to get ourselves in a position where the prices are going to be really expensive. Not going to happen. And we're going to have really I do respect Steve and what you're saying about the speed humps and trying to control the speeding.
I just wanted to make a note on what Sean said. Last time we had a quote done in 2014, prices increased 20% since then.
You would think that if you look at what's going on, that's not that bad, because a lot of it's even higher now. Gentleman,
Yeah, I appreciate the effort these guys are putting in this position. Probably good then, sit next to Sean, because I'll need to borrow some money. 7457 Ledgewood. I own 4 parcels on the lake. And one of those parcels only has a 60-foot access. I'm absolutely with Ken. I have all 3 of them are vacant lots. I think the method by which they're doing it strong arms us with the vacant property. I only paid $10,000 for one of my lots. They tell me I need to pay another $5,500 to put a road on it. You know, the lot with 60 feet, I can't get to that lot from Ledgewood. It's a swamp between the road there. That's another $5,500 bill that I can't even get to it on. It's, you know, if you're going to charge by footage, I'm fine. But I think they need to take a look and say, you don't have a house there, it needs to be half the cost. You know, to say I should pay the same for my house for my lot with a house on it versus my vacant properties is absolutely unfair. Realize we need to get the roads fixed, they're in terrible shape. I got a swimming pool in my front yard every time it rains. Thank you guys, it drains higher than the low spot, but I just wish they would come up with a better method by which to cover this, so that all of us aren't getting pinched the same way. You know, if it's only 55%, obviously isn't that unanimous. 75%, I feel a lot better.
I'll come back around to the side. Circle ahead.
My name's Frank Albrecht. I'm on 7344 Parkwood. I agree that the roads need to be is backing up from the addressing of the roads. What's in the detail? We've talked about regrinding only. What about curbs? What about sewers? About the collectors that were put in before? No one has addressed that here tonight. Then we go back one more step. I, like another gentleman here, have never seen or never had access to details of what this project is. When asked about this, I was told that they're considering regrinding all the curbs, regrinding everything and starting all anew. And then I was told the same price of $4,500 to $5,500. And in the letter that I received, it also showed the lack of detail that is being presented to the lake. And it had a little caveat in there of there'll be periodic redetermination of cost at 10%, with no reference to how many times do we do that. I've been here 35 years, and we lived through putting this road on. We were first told the first number would be a total price of $2,500 a lot. And it was done by frontage. And that's an average lot. I think we paid almost $4,500, so it literally doubled in price. I agree we need to address it. We need to know, like this gentleman, any other gentleman here that has, anyone that has spoken, we'd like to know what it really contains. Is it true we're going to regrind all the curbs off and start all over?
No.
I don't know that. I mean, we hear from the road commission saying, no, we're just going to regrind. Regrind what? It is, again, I agree the roads need to be addressed. Very important because, yes, someone's going to get hurt. Pretty soon the road's going to be so bad, somebody's going to go over. I'll make better decisions when you have all the information available to you. And then the question, I'll go back to the clerk, is you said in your letter the periodic redetermination don't have to be addressed by a meeting.
I'm going to defer that to our attorney.
Yeah.
What is the level that they need to be readdressed? Because if suddenly someone says, oh, we're going to do this, it's 8%, no address.
Sure.
But the next day, someone says, I gotta do this, that, and the other thing, and that's another 8%. Adding those two things together in 2 days, or 2 separate times, is 16%. I guess what I'm looking for is, I don't wanna have everybody say, yeah, we're gonna do this all for $5,500 or $6,000, and then suddenly they hand you a bill for $10,000.
I understand. So that language is out of Act 188. In this project, at the next public hearing, there'll be a special assessment roll. If the township goes forward and confirms that special assessment roll, that dollar amount will be a fixed dollar amount that becomes a lien on your property. To the extent that at the end of the project, we have the cost overruns are more than 10%. At that point, we could go back up to 10% and reassess. You can only do that once. And that's, so you can't do multiple 9%s.
So the project can't be anything more than what we're originally told. So we're talking, we can only go to 4,900 to 5,000 to 6,000 instead of 45 to 50.
And actually, it will be even narrower than that, because on the schedule, we're contemplating trying to confirm a special assessment roll sometime in late May. At that point, you'll have a fixed dollar amount. There'll be the assessment on your parcel, and then you can only go within 10% of that.
One last thing is my request of finding out where is the details.
So the details with respect to the actual construction drawings?
The actual project, and what are we looking at doing?
Sure.
What are we really looking at doing? What is $4,500 buying me?
Right. It's kind of catch-22, because we really can't get that kind of detailed information. Project is approved, because nobody's going to spend the money to have those engineers.
Even an estimate saying we're looking at, replacing curves, we're looking at just regrind, we're looking at putting in speed bumps, if that's,
Yeah, no, speed bumps are not going to look
No,
at.
okay, I just use it as an example of a line item.
Yeah, well, it's going to take, I don't know if I should be answering this or you.
Why don't you let me do it?
Okay.
Thank you. Throw me deeper.
I just threw you under the
Cost model we're using is the exact same square footage of hot mix asphalt put in place in 1988. Doing one of two things. Most of it's going to be removed. Those areas where the road has either lower due to weak upgrade materials ground is built up above it for a long stretch. We will crush and use that crushed asphalt as a mechanism that's pretty aggregate up a little bit. So we're trying to build it off of both models. Where we want to get this done, okay, so that we are not replacing it. Whole big changes. Nothing to delay the project, and most likely. So that if that is the bell you want to hear from, then you're going to have to ring it in this short term. A different approach. I want that will generate a whole series of things. Do it. It for sure won't be a 19 project if we do that, because we are right on the receiving end. We did hire a contractor to go around and every obvious problem that we could see a physical symptom of. We replaced cross culverts, we fixed catch basins. That was all done this spring. So we've done some of the prep work for this project goes in time to do all that.
That cost will be part of this project, or
No,
it's
no,
it's part of the
it's already
county?
done out of the maintenance account.
That's the type of thing that, and it would at least for me personally, would resolve, I see what we're trying to do, and it, when suddenly you come up with these added more than 10%, you understand why it didn't. Not having the information is more, it makes you suspicious of what aren't they doing. And I was here with the first road, and the way it was described that we were going to have a road, nothing was ever described what we had to do on the back side of the lake to prevent that wash of that back wall, that cement wall that was put in. That was never even imagined. And that was a very heavy load that was put on the price of the road. That's the kind of thing you start wondering about now, what else are we going to be doing?
Okay.
Karen Albrecht, Parkwood. Appreciate what you had to say. That was our concern. We're not opposed to the road. We were here when it was gravel, so we appreciate the pace. We know that it needs to be redone. Our concern was when they gave us the first estimate. They told us things that had to be done. Well, like any other project that you start, you don't really know what it takes till you're already into it. And then they come back and they tell us all these other things that had to be done that as off-lake homes. We didn't need all of that, yet we're paying for a lot of it. So there are things that we don't know that are being done. It sounds like it's simple. We're only going to bring a little bit, do this, do that. Sounds great in theory, but we're concerned as to when you need to do more, what does that mean for the rest of us? That we don't need those curbs. We don't need all of that, but we're going to be paying for it anyway. So that was our concern. We just want to know some of the facts of what you would like to do, and if there's a 10%, that's as high as it would go. At least we have that comfort level knowing it could go up, but it's not going to go off the chart either. So those are just facts that aren't being fed to everybody. As far as the petition, we never even saw the original one, so if it had any of those type of facts and what you were going to do, we weren't aware of it. So we find out kind of after the fact, and yes, we are kind of in a tizzy because we don't know what's going on. We can't get direct answers from anybody. Oh, you can't pinpoint and say this is exactly our get experts in there to give those details. Like I said, it's just kind of some of the unknown variables that we just need to be fed at least some information, what the guidelines are, what we kind of anticipate, so that we have a better feel of where we're going.
Okay, thank you.
My name's Chris Radcliffe, and I'm on 7498 Ornop Drive. I've been around here for 30 years already. Time goes by when you live in a beautiful place. My understanding of the assessment fees is Tyrone Township pays a certain fee in Deerfield. Is that a correct understanding? And if that is a correct understanding, why is that?
Be happy to address that.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. So the construction cost on a per parcel basis is the same in Tyrone and Deerfield. But then in addition to the construction costs, there are the financing costs, cost of issuing the bonds, legal costs, and publication costs. And those are, Tyrones are paid by the Tyrone residents, Deerfields are paid by the Deerfield residents. And because the number of lots are different in the two townships, those costs are spread a little bit differently. So the per parcel cost is not identical in Tyrone and Deerfield. They're similar, but not identical at the end of the day.
Similar. We couldn't create one special assessment district because it's two different outlets. Very expensive, and very time consuming to do that. So we have to have two special assessment districts.
We can't do it by law.
You can only charge, and this is listed, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can only charge what it costs in that special assessment district to those rates. Deerfield's quite a bit smaller.
I'll use the same roads.
I know, yeah. I know.
Okay.
Yep.
That's my point.
Gentleman back here. Yes.
I'm Jim Griner. I live next door to the guy that just spoke on Ornop Drive. We bought the house we're living in right now because the current roads were promised for the following year, so we experienced it for a little while as well. My main concerns were mentioned earlier, and that's safety, primarily safety, particularly the curve that Scott Wright was talking about towards Fawcett on Ledgewood. It's not only a danger for drivers, it's a danger for anybody that's on the road walking, biking, or anything, because it is a blind corner. And especially for people that are not residents of this area who drive around that curve in the wintertime and don't realize how dangerous it is and don't slow down, they end up in the ditch. It's serious. It is very serious. It happens once or twice every single year at least. Very serious one this year, as you probably know. And my feeling is that my recommendation is a re-engineering of that curve, for one thing, for sure. And secondly, though it probably doesn't help that much, some additional signage there that would tell people to slow down to 15 miles an hour or whatever, especially when icy, in either direction. It's a blind curve in either direction, so if you're, a lot of you have probably seen me on the roads walking and jogging. If you approach that curve from the Fawcett side, you cannot see any traffic that's coming in the other direction, from the other direction, if you're in the left-hand side of the road walking against traffic, which is what you're supposed to be doing. Likewise, if you're on the other side of the road, same problem, and drivers cannot see you either, so if there just happen to be two cars coming in opposite directions, they could overcorrect their driving and end up hitting each other as a result, or hitting, going whichever way into a pedestrian on either side. It's a very, very dangerous curve. And I think extra attention needs to be put on that curve.
Thank you. Ma'am? Going on down the line there? Anybody? Sir, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Danny Bell. I'm with Julie, 7647 Dean Road. And I submitted a letter also. And I would probably be opposed to it just because of the high cost. I don't really. This is such a huge priority over roads that I drive. I don't really see the urgent need for new roads. Possible for patching things that are. I've been here for 18 years. Roads are much better than the roads I travel 40, 50 miles to work every day. My wife travels, 40 every day. The roads in our south.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Domas?
I'm in the same shape as that chair. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Ganappini. This is my 82nd birthday.
You know how to celebrate, don't you?
It's been my personal and nice to have you across the street and down the road a little bit. He's always made sure that I had my shots. I attribute the fact that I'm here tonight at 82 years of age because he lived where he lived and was my. I was here when there was still dirt. Believe me, dirt is the worst kind of road that God ever gave us. And we had potholes that people would give their kids. And they were not only ugly and difficult to drive in, they were dangerous. And I can recall specifically an ambulance coming down Ledgewood to Ira the Line. I don't know how many people you guys do. Responding to him, and the driver was coming down. Something broke and the ambulance stopped, and there were parts laying in the middle of the street. End of it. And I probably never would have made it anyhow. Out the presence of ambulance. just never made it to bid. Bad roads are dangerous. Good roads, quite honestly, driving is better on good roads. Safely. Time them or not, the speed drive on our roads, people frequently drive 30, 35. Necessary to have somebody from the sheriff's department. It can be done. We're entitled to that because that is a safety hazard. Dean McGuire, if that is an issue for you, and I can understand the corner on Ledgewood, signage would probably have a sign that says there's a
but they don't see it.
They don't see it. It's in the trees, you know. And so the birds see that sign, but where the drivers do. The big question that I would have, and I ask myself because I don't want to have to pay more money. What happens if we don't do anything to these roads? What happens? And are willing to live with them for another 10 years. Mike Rainey and Jody Tedesco, thank you for being here this evening on your own time. I appreciate that. I've been out here before to tell us how we can go about improving our roads. Thank them for their presence and all the information, and they left, and we didn't really do much of anything. The roads got worse. What I consider to be not an ultimatum, but certainly best chance to do these roads economically. If we do nothing, roads and accept them the way they are, we'll have to accept them for the 5 or 6 years, maybe 10. But we certainly been here since 1970.
We have that on record, Dave, so you're going to have to pay up. Mr. Spencer.
I'm a relative newcomer to the lake. When I came in 22 years ago, I was a beneficiary of the investments that my predecessors had made, and I enjoyed 22 years of fairly decent road. When I first came here, you could rollerblade on the road. Now it's got to the point, and it's quite rapidly, that it's quite dangerous. I feel a certain obligation to pay for the next 20 years of the road, because I've enjoyed 20 years of it, so I'm in favor of this project.
Thank you. Gentleman, or ma'am, right behind Mr. Spencer there. Did you have something, sir?
Alan McLeod, 7336 Driftwood Drive, and I'm in favor.
And I think we have a few people here in the back that we...
Bruce Carr, 8078 Driftwood Drive. I'm also the current president of Lake Shannon. And just want to talk about it. A number of years ago, there was some interest. The problem is there are good ideas now. Idea to really get the as you know, the roads continue. As Joe said, and at least had something out there in a ballot, a majority. I've tried to communicate, well, not tried. Work harder on it, clearly. Everybody, unless they've already. Has been in our previous newsletters. township and the county and keep them. But gotta acknowledge that, as Joe said, you know, the cost has gone up. And we felt if we can't that bicyclists literally get caught in a crack and flip over, and
Ma'am?
Monica Lido. 1,000 miles every 2 years between Michigan and Indiana. And very much.
Ma'am? Do you have something to add? Thank you. Has everybody had at least one opportunity to speak? Does anybody have anything that we haven't touched on going forward? Because we got a board meeting that we got to conduct here. So if you have something new, please go ahead. Sir, go ahead.
Alan Herdman, 7488 Nornow Drive. And my petitioner convinced me that I was in favor of the roads. Peacefully convinced them. But it does seem a little unfair that we're lot owners. Especially people who own multiple empty lots. I just have the one home, so I guess I'm not swayed one way or another, but is there a way to petitioner being an association, election or a special meeting, change the formula and get that?
I think that would require the circulation of a whole entire new petition, if I'm not correct, wouldn't it?
I think that most likely what would have to happen, yeah, to get new petitions signed with different language in them.
And off of that, Counselor, I've got the letter Marcy that you forwarded me that you wrote through, and I want to read 2 sentences because something is not jiving. Your letter, in the case of the Lake Shannon Road project, the township is currently proceeding to impose the assessment on a per parcel basis. The township board could have decided to use front foot basis, an acreage basis, an occupied parcel basis, or a formula that uses a portion of all of these methods. I've been in communication with my friend Joe Pellet. Joe's told me it's not the Lake Shannon board's decision, it's the township's, and that's what you said. So I'm very confused. Who made the decision, and how, as they said, do we go about changing that decision?
Joe, do you have it?
Well, that was made early on when Joe and I were working to get the language of the petition, and we talked about different methodologies for assessing it, and we agreed that assessing per parcel was going to be the easiest way to do this, because the other methodologies would require different assessments for every parcel, and to be able to manage that gets really difficult. Plus, everybody, no matter what amount of frontage you have, you all drive on those roads. So somebody with more frontage, doesn't seem like it's fair to assess them a higher amount than somebody who maybe has 60 feet of frontage, because you're still driving those roads. So to try to come up with a methodology that was really fair to everybody, maybe this isn't fair to somebody who has multiple parcels, but it seemed to be the most fair way that we could come up with that was going to be able to be managed by us.
Why not a differential assessment for built versus unbuilt?
Yeah, Ken, Marcy explained it pretty well. There's inequities in every method that you use. Somebody has 300 feet of road frontage on one car, and somebody has 60 feet and 4 cars. And why is the person with the larger frontage going to pay, or the larger acreage? Any way you decide to do it, there's somebody is going to claim it's inequity. I feel for you. There is a mechanism. You can appeal your assessment to the township, and then you can take it to the state tribunal also.
Michigan Tax Tribunal. Okay, let me work back over here. Sir, please wait till I call on you, sir. I was calling on
I had
him.
my hand up, I thought I was next.
Well, he did too, so I'm working my way back around.
So I got a couple of questions, because as you can see, there's a lot of questions because we didn't get a lot. Question was, it's been on the way back when I signed up for the road commission to maintain assess. Assumption is the issue come to them, the road commission, it's not there. Has anybody asked if it's the road commission's budget for the next 5 years, in the next 10 years?
Would you like me to answer that, or would you like to answer that, Mike?
Well, I don't think anybody would like to answer it, Mike.
Because it's not, well, since you stood up.
First of all, that was a promise that a little bit more in full court than appears in any minutes of any of the 4 meetings that were held with. What we said was, you will get at least a 20. Everything we have, including things we never touch. But this is just how these get done in the state of Michigan. Whether you're in Oakland County, subdivision road is only by a special. And that it would be a lot easier to do our jobs if there was enough money where we'd say everything's in the budget, everything's got a plan. It just isn't one of the actual, I don't want to get into politics of road funding. We don't put a lot of money per capita into it.
Yep. No, that's perfect.
You may have noticed.
I think it's the first time I've heard it publicly, right? So
Just
that's all I
along
want.
those lines is we had the county out to address because there was the perception by some that they were going to maintain it and we have perfect roads forever. We've had them out there, we've talked about it, the only way to get it done is to do it this way.
Thank you. Next, you mentioned earlier that there'd be a lien on the property.
Yeah, so under Act 188, it's a special assessment lien for the amount of your special assessment, and it stays on a lien until it's paid.
You said it was difficult to base the pricing on square on road. But that's what we based our.
That's correct.
Sure, so.
Yeah, I mean, so there are, I understand.
Okay, now, the gentleman over here, it's his turn. Unless, were you done with your question, sir? Okay, well, one more.
I don't want to be rude. You said revoking petitions, so we got a lot of data that we need. How we're going to do it, what's the price? I ask my kids if they want a bunch of, if I tell them they gotta sell all their toys to get it, they might say, no, we need some data and the detailed plan of what the Lake Association plan is. I think this petition is good. Later, once we get all of it. Roads are gonna be twice as much as what's current. So that's what I've asked.
Right. Well, I think that Mr. Crane, not once but twice, has kind of basically stated what the scope of the project is and what the plan is based on the petition circulated and the dollar amount that was circulated. It was to address the asphalt that was on the road, not curbs. If there's a cross tube or something that needs to be replaced, I'm sure they'll do that. I don't see them not doing something like that. They're going to address any delineations that they see within the soil where it's dropped down and it needs some additional compaction or additional material in there to fix that substrate so that the road is firm and solid and it doesn't do that again. And did I miss anything, Mike? Was that?
Well, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And it's basically maintaining what was originally built in its actual physical extent that it is.
Okay.
So if that's a clear, if we have a clear,
Right.
we should not expect anything more.
I don't think we're going to see anything like that, no. Okay. Now, sir, I'm sorry. Third time's a charm.
Taxes. Now, in 19... There's a special assessment. Taxman said, well, you can't deduct that. Property tax. Now, I'm talking to the right people here, because I pay taxes twice a year. I make it a point to drive over here and pay them in person. I just wonder, what is it gonna take? Is it possible?
So
Can we changed? Can we make that instead of a special assessment? Can we roll that into our township taxes?
I'm happy to address that. So
So we can deduct.
I understand what you'd like to do, which is to deduct that.
What we'd all like to do.
Sure, and I think you can deduct less taxes now, starting in 18 for state and local taxes. So under state law, this is a special assessment, and that's under Act 188, and it cannot go into your general property taxes. So your tax bill will have this listed as a separate line item as a special assessment, and the township does not have the ability to put that into the general taxes. Now, that I tell my clients not to give federal tax income advice to their residents, and what you decide to do with your tax advisor, you have to decide.
Well, sure. It just seems it would be.
I had a question, and it might be for the road commission. If we're looking, if this is gonna go through, and we're looking at doing this and getting it done by Labor Day, you know, have you thought about how it's gonna affect our roads during the busiest time of people taking boats out, putting boats in?
Oh, we've had this discussion.
fireworks, So, how is that gonna
It worked
affect our
real well
roads?
the last time. No, it's, we're accommodating. Here's the good news. What we are doing is so much less in scope than what we did in '87 when we were trying to correct some grades and do a lot of earthwork. We're not doing a lot of earthwork. So in that sense, it's a less complicated project. But on the flip side, it's still all done by great big equipment. Fills up all the available space for you.
That's what I worry about people driving down with their boats and putting
Yeah,
them in and out.
yeah.
There's not
There'll be
gonna a lot
plenty of
on the roads.
signage, but none of the signage endows anybody with common sense.
Hopefully, if
I can't
the...
tell you how many times I tailed in our subdivision, I think to myself, I live here with you. Tell him that.
If we can ever get through Sprinter, and spring actually does happen, I think the project's going to start after a majority of the people have their boats already in. And we definitely talked about, you have Labor Day weekend, and, I live on a lake too, and I know what that means. So they're definitely going to try and get that completed by then.
Also by the school year too.
Yes, yes. Okay, coming back up here to the front, going back. Sure.
Real quick, so you mentioned the total number of lots that were pulled and then the total number of yes votes? Those numbers again?
You want the percentage?
Nope, the number of lots. The actual-
1 second.
290.
Yes, there's 291 total, and 160 yes. And 60 minus 2 is 159 yes.
159?
Yes, Mr. Spencer.
There are two benefits of fixing the roads. Number one is it's easy to drive on. Number two, it preserves the value of the property. I only have one lot, so I'm essentially subsidizing this protection of multiple owners. And I think we should recognize that there are mutual benefits for us all working together to fix these roads. I'll get to drive better, you'll get to preserve the value of your property better. I apologize, I didn't announce myself before. I'm Russ Spencer at 170 Driftwood Drive.
Thank you. Okay, does anybody have anything that's new?
One last comment.
Okay.
The one thing we complained about are these potholes and breaks in the asphalt. At what point is it our responsibility? At what point is it the road commission's responsibility to fix all this stuff? But a lot of things we're talking about, I would think would be the responsibility of the road commission to fix the road right now. So why isn't that being done?
We're certainly prepared to patch the road. And we have been patching the road, we have been replacing culverts, we've been fixing catch basins. We do all that. What we don't do is recapitalize the road. We get about $1,600 per mile per year for your roads. And when you do the math on that, that means we are actually using revenue from primary roads to subsidize much of what occurs on the so-called local roads. It's not common sense economics. We should be putting our money where the traffic volume is, but that would mean roads like your roads would deteriorate faster. So we're always trying to get
Okay. All right, I think we got everybody, so if nothing else is new, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Thank you all for attending. It was good to hear from you and see you all. What we'll do is we'll take a few minutes for those that would like to leave and give everyone time to shuffle out. We'll reconvene here in about 5 minutes. We don't vote on this until after the second public hearing, right?
No votes for tonight.
No votes.